Guys, let me tell you this. This is not a season that we can afford to be distracted. This is not a season or even a year that you can afford to be distracted. This is a year where you need focus. This is a year where you need to be focused on your focus. You need to be focused on the vision that you know you've been given for the year. You need to be focused on your goals. And literally, you need to be focused on the things, the assignments that you know you need to be doing. This is not the year where you get to December and you realize that you have not done the things that you need to do because you have been distracted. Hi YouTube family, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. If you are new here, you are also welcome to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about something that is super key to be aware of in this season, something that we cannot afford to ignore. And I really feel like some people literally need this word in this season because they have literally been facing what they know to be distractions. So I'm going to be talking in today's video about overcoming distractions, things that I've been trying to distract in this season. And I'm going to specifically pinpoint 3 areas that you need to be aware of that are huge and major distractions in this season. And I'm also going to be sharing a few tips, a few ways that you can overcome these distractions. Now, maybe you'll be able to relate with all 3 of these distractions, or maybe just 2 or 1. But even if there are other distractions in your life that you know you are dealing with in this season, I believe that the tips, the things that I will be sharing will also help you to overcome those distractions. Guys, let me tell you this. This is not a season that we can afford to be distracted. This is not a season or even a year that you can afford to be distracted. This is a year where you need focus. This is a year where you need to be focused on your focus. You need to be focused on the vision that you know you've been given for the year. You need to be focused on your goals. And literally, you need to be focused on the things, the assignments that you know you need to be doing. This is not the year where you get to December and you realize that you have not done the things that you need to do because you have been distracted. No, this is the year where literally you want to be able to get to the end of the year and realize that you accomplished and did everything that you were supposed to do this year, which is why you need to overcome distractions. So I'm going to be sharing those 3 things that you need to be aware of. And the first one, which I know that a lot of people will be able to relate with, a lot of people are probably dealing with it right now, and that is the area of social media and your phone. Guys, this one is a major one. This one is a major distraction. And the thing with distraction is that a lot of the time, we do not realize that we are being distracted until the distraction finishes distracting us. But that doesn't have to be the case. We can be aware of these things. And social media is one of those ones where a lot of the time, we know we are being distracted. But what we don't realize is that as that thing is distracting us, it's literally stealing our time. Now, obviously, we all know that social media is not a bad thing per se. There are so many benefits, so many pros to social media. It's literally something that keeps us connected, right? However, if we do not allow ourselves to have the right boundaries in place, the right things in place, the right guards in place, we will start to notice how hours upon hours upon hours, we will just be scrolling through the feed, scrolling through, watching what everybody else is doing when we should actually be living our own life, focusing on our own life. Have you ever experienced a time whereby maybe you were going through your day and you were in a good mood, you were in a happy mood, and the next thing you go on social media, and as you start scrolling, you just notice that your emotions are just changing. You're going from happy to sad to excited to just all these different emotions because you are going through the feed and you are spending hours on there. A lot of the time, we don't realize that sometimes when we go on social media and we're spending hours on there, watching what other people are doing with their own life, we don't realize how we allow certain things like comparison, jealousy to start to come in. And then we start to live our life based upon what we have been seeing other people live their life or what we have been seeing other people do. and we don't realize that that is a distraction. There is a certain way that God wants you to live your life this year, but sometimes we allow social media to distract us because we're so focused on what other people are doing rather than focusing on our focus. But like I said, this is not a year to be distracted by social media. Maybe 2024, last year, you got distracted by social media and it wasn't a big deal. That was last year. This is not the year to be distracted. Now, a few things that have worked for me when it comes to just ensuring that social media or my phone is not a distraction is, number one, literally through the day when I know that I have a number of tasks to do. It's got to a point now, guys, where sometimes I have to literally put my phone away, out of sight, because I notice that when I see my phone, it's very easy for me to just pick up my phone and just see, okay, what's going on? Have I got any messages? Have I got any WhatsApp messages? But putting my phone away has really, really helped me. Another one that has really helped me as well is to turn off my notifications. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've not had notifications on for like, I don't know, the last 2 years. Because I don't need to see when people are posting. I don't need to see every second when somebody is starting a story or a reel or coming live. I don't need to know that. If there's something that I need to be aware of, if there's something that I need to join a live or whatever, then that is going to be factored into my plan. And that is the third way that you can overcome that distraction. And that is the plan ahead. Having a time when you literally put in your day that you're going to spend time on social media. Planning that time to say that, okay, this is my time to go and post. This is my time to go and check posts. This is my time to go and interact with people. So let's say, for example, you know that you work, let's say a 9 to 5, and you saying that, okay, I'm not going to spend time on social media during my work hours. I'm going to spend time during lunchtime, and then I'm going to spend time at the end of the day. Those are just a few examples. But the main thing that I'm trying to press on here is that you need to set boundaries around your social media use. Otherwise, again, you will not realize when it has stolen your time, and that is time that you cannot get back. And I want to challenge you, as I kind of just finish on this first point, to go and check your screen time and see how long you spent on social media since the beginning of January, and that will let you know whether it is a distraction or not. So the second distraction that I wanted to touch upon that you need to be aware of is people pleasing and friends. Now, this is a weird one because it's like, how can you be distracted by friends, or how can you be distracted if you are a people pleaser? Now, if you're a people pleaser, then you will be able to relate to what I'm about to share right now. And that is that sometimes the inability to say no, and you literally saying yes to everything, that is a distraction. You literally saying yes to every task that's given to you, you not knowing what your focus should be, you not knowing the tasks that you should be focusing on, is a major distraction. Like I said, this is not the year to be distracted. This is the year to be focused. And this is the year that you need to know the things that you need to be focused on. You need to know the things that you need to be aligning with. And that means that there are some things that you are going to need to say no to. And that's okay. Like, we have to get to that point where we understand that it's okay to say no to certain things, especially when it's not aligned with the things that we need to be focused on, when it's not aligned with our purpose, when it's not aligned with the things that God has called us to do. I spoke about this in another video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the key thing that you need to be aware of, if you are a people pleaser, or you know that you find it difficult to say no, is to recognize that if you don't literally address that, then that will become a distraction for you in this season. And you will realize that you are focusing on tasks that you shouldn't be focusing on, which is taking you away from the tasks and assignments that you should be focusing on. And then that point about friends, like I said, is one of those ones where it might be like, how can your friend be a distraction? But let me tell you this, a friend can be a distraction. And in fact, maybe you are the distraction. A lot of the time, again, we don't realize when our friends are being distractions or when our friends are distracting us. And sometimes it could even just be long conversations on the phone. Sometimes it could be times gossiping, talking about what you do not need to be talking about. Or sometimes it could just be your friends literally distracting you from things that you need to be focusing on. So I'm going to give a quick example. This actually came to me by revelation, right? That we need to be careful of literally friends being a distraction in this season. And I remember at the time thinking, No friend can distract me. I won't be distracted by no friends. That ain't me. That's a word for somebody else. But on Sunday, guys, when I was in church and I was sitting next to somebody and literally we were talking here and there during the service, and it was in that moment that I realized how easy it is to be distracted even by friends or distracted by other people. I know that at that point I should have been focusing on the service, focusing on what was being said, but I was distracted through conversation. And that is another thing that we need to be aware of in this season, to not be distracted through conversation. Yes, we love our friends. Trust me, I love my friends as well. But if they are becoming a distraction, or if I'm becoming a distraction to them, then that needs to be dealt with. So again, it just comes back to boundaries, having those boundaries in place, having the conversations that need to be had to assure that these things do not become distractions in this season. And then the last one, which we need to be aware of when it comes to distractions that are rising up in this season, are distractions through our thoughts and through spiritual warfare. Yes, spiritual warfare is a distraction. Now, this is one that I had to learn, because I feel like a lot of the time when we find ourselves in spiritual warfare, automatically and immediately we're like in warrior mode, we're in soldier mode, we're in that place where we want to just fight and attack and we want to fight back the warfare. But you know what? Sometimes the first call of action is actually not to rise up in warfare prayers. The first point of call is not to rise up and fight back. Sometimes we literally need to, not even sometimes, all the time, we literally need to go to God and say, okay, God, what is the strategy for this battle? What is the strategy for this warfare? And sometimes God is just saying, rest, I will fight this battle. Sometimes God is saying, just worship me. Sometimes God is saying, praise me. But the enemy knows that as humans, when spiritual warfare comes, that it's so easy for us to become distracted and focus all of our attention on that warfare. But again, this year, guys, is not the year to be distracted by spiritual warfare. Yes, spiritual warfare might come, but as it comes, do not allow it to steal your gaze. Do not allow it to take your gaze away. There's a beautiful scripture that says, I believe in the book of Psalms, and it says that he is at peace whose mind is stayed on God. So when our mind is stayed on God, literally we dwell in peace. When we trust God, we dwell in peace. In fact, I actually wrote down the scripture, so I'm going to read it to you guys so I don't misquote it. But it is in Isaiah, so it's not even in Psalm, guys. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 says, you keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. So if this one is for you and you feel like you've been experiencing a lot of spiritual warfare, maybe at the beginning of this year, you've been dealing with a lot of warfare, a lot of attacks, that word is for you. Focus your eyes on God. Focus your gaze on him. Trust in him that he will help you through that warfare, that he will fight for you, and that he will give you the right strategy that you need to fight that battle. But don't focus all your gaze on the enemy. No, it does not deserve your attention. It's a distraction, guys. Do not focus your focus on him and that battle. Focus on God. And you will notice that even the spiritual warfare that is there, it won't look as big to you as it seems. It will just look small to you and you will not be distracted by it. And then that issue of thoughts as well. Thoughts is another one where it's probably a whole nother conversation or another video for another day, but it's so easy for thoughts to become a distraction. Have you ever noticed times when you want to go and pray and you kneel down or you sit down and you start praying, and that's when you now come and remember all the different things that you haven't done. That's when you remember the person that you need to call. That's when you remember the letter you need to post. That's when you remember that you haven't washed the dishes. Sometimes these things are distractions. Now, when it comes to the area of thoughts, again, there's a lot that comes into that. Sometimes when you're praying, the thoughts that come into your mind could actually be from God, but sometimes they are from the enemy. Sometimes they are a distraction and they want to take your focus away from what you are doing in that moment. So we need to be aware in this season of these 3 different areas, 3 different distractions. And when it comes to this last one of thoughts, one thing that can help you to overcome that distraction is when you're praying, if thoughts come to you, if you remember things that you're supposed to do, have a journal there beside you that you are able to literally write down these thoughts that are coming, so that after you finish your prayer, then you can go and address those things. So I hope this video has helped you to recognize that. Again, be very aware of the distractions that are coming this season. Do not ignore them. Do not allow them to take you off course. Do not allow them to derail you, because this year you need to be focused. This year you have something that you need to achieve. You have something that you need to do, and you cannot afford to come to the end of the year and recognize that you have not done these things because you were distracted. So if you haven't already, guys, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Until then, peace out and God bless.
He gets the victory. I guess the victory.